Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In a recent video, in fact my Q&A, which I'll link up top for you if you want to see it, I mentioned the most expensive product I've ever purchased to be this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Palette. It is new for the 2015 holiday season, and even though it's nowhere near the holidays, all the companies are starting to roll things out. And I don't know about you, but I have heard a ton about Hourglass, especially the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Trio palette here on YouTube. And I've always watched those videos and thought, oh, these look so beautiful. I would love to get them. But I've never been willing to spend the $60 on 3 powders. It just seems like an insane amount of money for me to pay. I can justify it a little bit more when I'm spending that on a palette, an eyeshadow palette, because I'm getting so many different colors. But with 3 powders, I never was able to commit to it. So when I saw this limited edition holiday palette coming out with 6 different shades, I thought, well, if I'm gonna do it, this would be a good time to get a variety, because inside this little palette, you're gonna get 3 highlighters, a bronzer, and 2 blushes, which is pretty much all of the powder product I put on my face. So I figured, you know, if I love it, it's kind of like a little over $10 per item in there, which doesn't seem that terrible to have it all in one place for this legendary stuff that I'm hearing about all the time on YouTube. So I went ahead and made the purchase. And if you haven't seen it, this is what it looks like. You've got your 3 highlighters in this row. You have a bronzer right here, and then these 2 are your blush. It comes with a huge mirror, which is really nice. And I definitely think a pro of this overall is that you literally have everything you need aside from concealer and foundation in one place. And that has eliminated a lot of clutter on my beauty desk in the morning when I'm getting ready. I know if I were to travel, this is super handy to have everything you need in one place. But something I don't like about the packaging is that while it looks really sleek when you first pull it out, you can see on here it's got all these marks on it. It's got fingerprints on it, and that's just because you touch it and it leaves that residue, and I really don't like the look of that. So that is kind of one of the cons of the way that they've chosen to package this, but everything else about the packaging is spot on. But when I sit down and I assess whether or not this is worth it to me, I have to tell you guys that I'm gonna end up returning this. Here's why. The biggest thing for me is I have noticed with this palette that I'm someone who tends to like to have a highlight that's a little bit more in my face. That I look at it and I hit the sunlight and I think, bam, clearly I've got a highlighter on, I'm doing something extra, I've got that glow going. And I just don't feel like these 3 highlights do that for me. I think that they are very natural, they are very finely milled, they are beautiful powders, they are so soft, some of the softest powders I've ever used, but it's too natural to me. I finished doing my highlight and I think to myself, I don't really notice the highlight glow that I have from things like my Becca Jaclyn Hill Champagne Pop highlighter, or when I use a cream highlighter, or when I use my Benefit What's Up. I feel like those give me such rich, beautiful highlights, and I don't feel like I get that with these 3. This is what they look like on my fingers, and you think like when you look at them like, oh, those are really, really beautiful, and that's what I thought too. But when you actually go and put them on, you can kind of see like you're not getting a whole lot off of them. And for me, for $80, if I don't feel like the highlight is providing that pop that I really want, that's half the palette. So that's a huge chunk of the palette to not be in love with. And for that price tag, I better love all of it. It better hit all of the boxes and then some, because $80 to me is nothing to make light of. It's a lot of money, especially to invest in one makeup item. So that's one of the biggest hits on here. Another hit is I also don't really love this middle blush. This is the one called Luminous Flush. I think that it's just okay. It's nothing particularly unique. I think when I think about my blush collection, I think that I've got other colors that are kind of in that nice pinky shade. I do believe there's one item in here. I think it is the bronzer that is limited edition to this palette only. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. I really do like this bronzer. It is such a beautiful sort of shimmery and light bronzer, which is good for my skin tone. I've got it on my face today, and it provides a nice warmth, but it's nothing that is super unique and life-changing compared to other bronzers that I use. It reminds me of the Too Faced milk chocolate bronzer. It's similar to that in pigment. Yes, this one is softer, but again, it's much cheaper and I can get the same effect from it. The other item in here that I do really like, and I actually am gonna purchase it, is this blush. This is the one called Mood Exposure. This color is actually surprisingly really unique. When I look at it in the pan, I think to myself, oh, it's gonna be like a really soft, sort of shimmery blush, but because these darker sort of mauve-y colors are mixed into it, it gives this beautiful balance of pink and red, and I just really love it on my skin. You can build it up, and it's not too heavy. You definitely can go heavy-handed with this if you're not careful, because you don't need to have a ton of it to create a beautiful color. It's on my cheeks today. So I really like, you know, these two. If I could just get these two items, I probably would, and I will end up buying this blush. It's $35, which I think is a fair price to pay, especially for the soft and pigment that you get from here, just the texture of it. I think it's definitely a quality product. And I'm not saying that these products aren't quality products, but again, for me, if you're gonna charge me $80 for something, it better do everything. And for me, it's just a little too natural where I look at my face and I say, gee, I can't really tell that I've put a highlighter on and I've spent $80 on it. So that just to me seems crazy and ridiculous, and I can't warrant keeping it if I don't love everything about it. So if you're somebody like me who wants something that's a little bit more in your face when it comes to a highlighter, I would definitely skip this and invest your money in other holiday items. Everybody and their brother in the makeup world comes out with holiday stuff. And I just think that while the idea behind this is really great, it doesn't provide everything that I'm looking for. So for that reason, I'm gonna go ahead and say pass on it. But if you've picked this up, I would love to hear your thoughts on it, because I'm sure I might be in the minority of people when I say I don't want to keep it, I'm gonna end up returning it. So I'd love to hear from you or how you use it, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye.